Welcome in to Eliminate the Gravy Off the Record D, where real sports talk lives. Each week, I break down the biggest stories in sports, giving you honest takes fueled by logic, life experience, and time spent in team sports. No hot takes for clicks, just real perspective. I call it how I see it, whether it's breaking down a big game or calling out the media for how they spin the story. If you want sports talk with no agenda, you're in the right place. All right, good morning, good morning. Happy Tuesday. We got another day. Let me get this mic adjusted a little bit. Let me make sure my volume is still good since I adjusted that mic down. I always do my sound checks. I'm super paranoid. If you're new here, I'm super paranoid about my sound checks. I just don't want to get the recording and going and, I got no sound coming out the mic. Now, Tuesdays are going to be something different. So on Tuesdays, I'm breaking down I did a consensus. The closest thing I could get to a consensus of the top 8 draft eligible QBs going into the 2026 draft. I am a Cleveland Browns fan, and we were told that our quarterback is in 2026. So with that being said, I said, you know what? I'm going to start a weekly series on breaking down these QBs and how they're performing, and if I believe that any of them would be worthy or are good enough for a first round pick or a high first round pick. So this is what we have. Now, this is week to week. This is going to change every week. This is not what you did last week helps me this week. At points, I might reference what a person has done the last 2 weeks, but it's not going to change where they are on the board from week to week. So now that we got that out the way, remember, eliminate the gray. Off the record D, the is THA. Wherever you get your podcast, you can check this out. I have this up by tomorrow, wherever you get your podcast. Also, like, comment, and subscribe so you can be notified. I go live Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Sundays for football games. Beast, what's good? What's good? Shout out to you, Beast. Another day. We getting back to it. We getting to it. All right, so let's get this thing started. Let's take a look at the graphic here. This is our top QBs for week 4. So 4 weeks in the books, and we don't really have, I don't believe we have a consensus number 1 overall pick. We still got a bunch of weeks to go, but just so far we don't have that. So let's get this thing started. Let's get it moving. Let's not slow it down. Our first QB on the board is going to be Cade Klubnik. Cade Klubnik. Let's get this adjusted. Let's do this, and then let's throw something else up here for y'all. Let's go here, not there. Let's go here. Getting my life together. Move. There we go. All right, so Cade Klubnik. Let me get my notes out on him. He really should have entered the draft last year. He is not helping his draft stock at all. You can really speed him up. Just besides pressure from bringing different blitz packages and stuff like that, you can speed them up. You can also speed them up by them getting behind in the game. When they get behind in the game, he gets more reckless with where he throws the ball, and he starts to not see the field as well. So you have a very confident Syracuse team playing versus Clemson this past weekend, this Saturday. Cade Klubnik, these are his stats: 37 for 60. He threw the ball 60 times, which is insane. By far, he threw the ball. He attempted more throws than any quarterback this week. 363 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, QBR 49.3. Like I just mentioned, you get them behind in the game, and he kind of just falls off. He's just not able to lead his team on drives. Even with this game being pretty close, he could have drove them down at the end of the game, and he just was not able to do it. And I'm able to see so many of these games because I have the ESPN app, and they have something called the Skycast. So the Skycast is really similar to the All 22 view, but it is like that. When you watch a football game and they have that camera that's kind of just hovering over the field, you actually see it from that view. So it's similar to All 22. So as I'm watching this game from the Skycast view, when he threw his interception, You can see it happening before it happened. He never read the safety. I don't believe that safety took more than 5 steps on that play before he threw the ball right to him and he made a great play on the ball. So in pressure moments, Cade Klubnik, you can get him to make a mistake. And as you see, Clemson is 1-3. I was watching something this morning and they were like, man, it's getting so hard to predict. I don't understand. These guys are kind of just not they should be better. Why isn't Clemson good? And he's saying, oh, they got a lockdown corner. They got this at receiver. They got this at running back. They always have a pretty decent offensive line. It's very simple. The quarterback. The quarterback is the one thing that makes the difference for Clemson, and he just hasn't been good this year. So that's the difference. That's why Clemson is good. To me, it's pretty obvious. It's not something I had to guess, but people who thought Clemson would be in contention for a national championship are shocked. I'm not shocked. All right, let's get back to it. Let's get to our next QB. Let's get this here. Let's move you here. What we got next, y'all? Next up, we got Carson Beck. It's funny. Yesterday, Kyler was saying, do I take Carson Beck or LaNorris Sellers? And I said reluctantly I would take LaNorris Sellers. To me, Carson Beck is he's more hype than he is actually productivity. So he started off against a couple teams. Let me scroll this down. He started off against a couple teams and he looked okay. So everybody was hyping him up. But the thing I paid attention to was his interceptions. And I kept saying, hey, when he's throwing these interceptions, they don't make sense. And that's what happened this week. So they went against Florida. Now, Florida does not have the offensive firepower. DJ Lagway is not having a good year. But Florida's running back, number 13, can't remember his name, too many names to remember. Number 13, he's a beast. They're giving him the ball more. Florida's defense is keeping games closer than most people would think, because you just say, oh, man, Florida's losing, but their defense is doing a pretty solid job, even though they're a 1-3 team. So let's go through Carson Beck's numbers. He was 17-30, 160 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, and QBR 51.4. Now, we're really going to get to see who these quarterbacks are as they go into tougher competition, because now they're in conference play. Also, we're going to see who they are when they get down or when they're in close games with a higher level of competition. So you can tell this was his first game against tougher defensive competition. Notre Dame's defense is not as good as people projected it to be, so it doesn't look as good of as an accomplishment for what he did against Notre Dame. But late in the game, still a one-score game, he threw late. So he stepped up in the pocket, which is a plus, but he threw late across the middle. Carmani McClain, which some people might know, he's a highly touted prospect who committed to Colorado. Then he left, had some trials. Now he's on the field playing for Florida, and he was able to undercut the receiver, and he got the interception. He was only able to do that because he stepped up in the pocket and waited so late to make the decision. So even though they came out in the win, he's still towards the bottom of the list, and it's because of his decision making, and also he doesn't look as good when he's going against better competition. I thought this was a showcase for Florida's running back, Miami's running back, and then also the true freshman, number 10 for Miami. I believe his name is Malachi Toney. Just him turning 18, I believe, in the past week, and him already balling out. Or showing a lot of promise, I would say. So that's who this game showcased, more so than it showcased Carson Beck. All right, let's get to it. Let's keep this thing rolling. Let's see who we got next. Next on the QB list. Let me get my other piece of my earpiece in so this thing is not falling all around. All right, so next up, we have LaNorris Sellers. Now, LaNorris Sellers is a person that a lot of people for the Cleveland Browns have been speaking about. Oh man, LaNorris Sellers, that's who they want. That's who they want. To me, before we get into his game this week, what I want to see LaNorris Sellers get more starts. Kind of spoke about this on Sunday about starts and all this stuff. When looking at college QBs, I want to see him get more starts. You can confuse him. You can speed him up. You can get him to press. And as you get more starts with the athletic ability he has and the arm talent he has, he should be able to settle down with more starts. So his stats, they play Missouri this week. So like I said, they're getting into, that tougher competition. He was 18 for 28, 302 yards, 2 TDs, QBR 68.9. He has to work on his accuracy. Like the second drive of the game, he was not getting pressured too heavy. He's sitting in the pocket, which is good. He's surveying the field, and he has a receiver who kind of exploits a hole in the defense. It was a busted coverage, and LaNorris Sellers overthrows him. So the guy tries to make a diving catch for the ball when he could have just did a little bit better. What's up, Zedric? Shout out to you for being here. I agree. I think Sellers should not rush coming out this year. He will end up in a rough situation, a la Anthony Richardson. So just because a guy has all the tools, that doesn't mean you just rush him out there, because there's some things he needs to clean up. The crazy thing about him is from drive to drive, he'll change. So on the second drive, he missed a wide open guy. The next drive, he makes an even harder throw to the right side of the field for a touchdown. And it's like, man, how did you fit that ball in there with two defenders? You had the safety coming over for help. You fit that in for a touchdown, but you missed a wide open one. So you got to work on that consistency, and I think it will help him to go back another year. I think he made about 4 throws where you say, man, I can see him in the NFL. But he just needs to work on his decision-making and thinking the game. He has the athletic ability. So to me, when things break down, and if you're thinking the game through, being able to have an idea of what the defense is doing, then you wouldn't just lean on your athleticism. Another one. Zedric, I agree with you. The Browns aren't built to handle any of these QBs in 2026, mainly because the Browns' offensive line is a wrap. So the Browns only have one guy who's under contract going into next year. That's DeJuan Jones. He's out for the year. He took a brutal hit. So I'm gonna get a lot into that on tomorrow's show. But you are correct. They gotta get a whole new offensive line. So they can't handle these guys. And then when it comes to the development side, they're not developing the guys that they have in the house now. So they would just be bringing these guys into a bad situation. But he has the athleticism. This was a close game. He couldn't get it done at the end. I believe their last 3 drives were 3 and outs until it was a turnover on downs when they couldn't get on 4th down. So I want to see him keep his team in it, which he did. But then at the end of games, I really want to see him take that next step, because he has the skills and the tools to be winning these games. So he can get there, but I think he should definitely come back to college another year. So good insights there, Zedric. Let's get to the next QB on the board. Who we got up next? We got Drew Allar. Drew Allar is on a bye week this week, so we got him on the bottom of the board. So if you're looking at the screen right now, the 2 QBs to the left of the screen, those are the ones who are the bottom performers of the week. Towards the right, those are going to be the performers where we got to see more from them. So that's why Drew Allar is there on the right. He was on a bye, so we got to see more from him when he comes back as he gets into Big Ten play. Who we have next after that? After that, we have Garrett Nussmeier. Now, Garrett Nussmeier, when you look at just the overall numbers, you're saying, man, he had a really good game. Let's go to his stats. Let's break it down. His stats. He was 21 of 31, 273 yards, 3 touchdowns, QBR 71.8. He also had a rushing touchdown, which was like a QB sneak at the goal line. They believe in him more than I'm seeing the belief in these other quarterbacks. So it was either the first or the second drive of the game. They went for it on like 4th and 11. They were, when you're at that fringe field goal, right out of field goal range, and it's kind of weird to punt. They knew they had the better team, so they went for it on 4th and 11, and he delivered. So he got the first down. He moved in the pocket really well. Now, Someone on my TikTok commented on one of my videos where I was talking about how these guys weren't doing too well, and they said he might be suffering from an injury. Speaking of Garrett Nussmeier, this is the best I've seen him move around in a game. He was buying extra time. He was able to get out for some runs. He ran for, I think, 11 or 12-yard first down. So this is the best I've seen him move. He managed the game well. He was not putting the ball in harm's way too much. And his touchdown passes were some great throws and some great reads. But he didn't do that until they were up 21 points. So it wasn't like he just started out dominating from the beginning. He got more into the game and more in a rhythm after the running back had kind of carried them. So that's going to be a small knock, because when you're playing a team like Southeastern Louisiana, first off, you should put up 70. And if you're Garrett Nussmeier, potential top 5 pick, you should be balling out. So he looked a lot better, but this is a higher standard that we're holding these guys to. So we want to see more, and we'll see if he delivers more. So let's get to the next QB. Next QB on the board, we got Sam Leavitt. Now, Sam Leavitt is a QB that I heard some things about. Y'all will hear me talking about Sam Leavitt every week. And let me get this off the screen. Let me get back on the screen. There we go. Sam Leavitt, the reason why he's here in the number 3 spot is because we know he has the arm talent. He can make all the throws. It's hard to tell if he's more athletic than LaNorris Sellers. He might be a faster runner than LaNorris Sellers, but these two are neck and neck when it comes to athleticism. He is flying under the radar, Zedric. And also, he has great running backs, and he might have the best wide receiver in the country. I believe his name is Jordan Tyson. Beast, just a beast. So I agree with you there. Let me grab something to drink. Let's go through his stats. 22 of 32, 221 yards, 1 touchdown, QBR 77.6. He also had 15 carries. He had a rushing touchdown. When you see Sam Leavitt run the ball and escape the pocket, it's a thing of beauty. He is very fast. He's one of those shorter guys. So you see him taking a whole bunch of steps, not like the Kyler Murray, a whole bunch of steps, but he's taking a bunch of steps, but he's moving. He is very hard to get down. He is very hard to tackle in the backfield. He is juking D linemen and linebackers like crazy. So I think that's a plus. He is a true dual threat quarterback. This is the quarterback out of this class who they run him a lot, and he also has the arm. So they really use him both ways. He just barely missed throwing a couple interceptions in this game. But that's what happens. Football, some of it is luck. So he got lucky because this game could have went totally different. And one thing I like was this was a back and forth game, but at the end of this game, he was able to lead his team on the drive after Baylor, I think it was their tight end, scored that touchdown and they went up. He was able to leave his team, they tied it up. He was able to leave his team on the drive and get a field goal to win the game. They were helped on that last drive. Down at the end, when you look at the win column, they got the win. And that's what I wanted to see from the LaNorris Sellers. He had a chance to put his team in the win column. He wasn't able to get it done at the end of the game. Sam Leavitt was able to get it done. So that's why he's in this spot. Super athletic guy. Who we got next? So these are the last two. The last two on the board. Drum roll, please. Arch Manning. We got Arch Manning. Y'all know I've been really hard on Arch Manning. Really hard on him this year. Haven't really seen too much. I don't care for his fundamentals. That's my biggest knock on Arch Manning is his fundamentals are not there. He did something that kind of it kind of shows some of his character that he's trying to bully the team that he's better than. I don't like the way he got his rushing touchdown. He didn't even truck the guy. The guy was just coming across. He broke an arm tackle. Arch Manning is standing over him like he sticked him or trucked him or something. So that's just a questionable thing for me. And I think that opens you up for guys to take shots at you. So when they score, they're going to stand over Arch. They're going to taunt Arch, and he's opening it up. He opened it up when he said, everybody has a target on their back. They got a target on their back, but they got the scope on everybody else. He wasn't able to back that up before when they went and played Ohio State. Now him doing this, I think guys are just going to look at him. I believe they have a bye week coming up this next week. Then they get into SEC play, and this is where I don't really speculate that much. This is going to be speculation. I believe Arch is really going to get exposed for the type of player he is. Zedric, you're right there with me. Yeah, SEC play will be interesting for Arch. Yeah, they're going to really have to. Steve Sarkisian is really going to have to get super creative with how he's calling these plays, and he's going to have to do a lot to protect Arch because it could get dark. It could get dark early. That's what I'm going to say about that. Let's go over his stats. He was 18-21, 309 yards, 3 touchdowns. QBR 81.6, 2 rushing touchdowns. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I can see him being up and down Zedric. Because you're gonna face better competition. You're gonna face faster guys, stronger guys. So I think that's when you're really gonna get to see who these guys are. I saw him having some bounce back games against some of these lesser teams, but it's gonna get real soon. So, like I was just saying, I want to see him deal with that better talent. He threw the ball well in this game. It wasn't as many errant throws as we've seen from him every week because normally he's having errant throws. He's dirting balls where he's doing weird arm angles. We didn't see as much of that this week, but he put up the numbers. The talent gap was very big because this was Sam Houston. So he made his way here only because we didn't see a little bit more from other guys. But I don't think this was a very special game from him. I think this is what we expect based on how he was hyped up. So he got his spot this week, but we're going to see where he's at in 2 weeks. And now, let's get to the guy's number one on the board. Let's get that drum roll. We got Fernando Mendoza coming in the number one spot. This is his second week being at the number one spot. Now, I heard about Fernando Mendoza from CBS. I was watching some stuff trying to build out this list, and they're talking about Fernando Mendoza. He came from Cal. I had to really look into him because I just didn't hear that much about his name. So he has the experience. These last 2 weeks, he's just been balling. So this is what he did in this week versus Illinois, which I believe Illinois was ranked number 9 going into this game. And Fernando Mendoza just act like they were a regular team. He was 21 of 23, 267 yards, 5 touchdowns, QBR at 93.6. He faced the highest ranked team this week, and he dominated. Only had 2 incompletions, no turnovers. He is not as athletic as – he's probably the least athletic QB on this whole list out of all 8. They tried to get him outside on some runs. I think it was like a 3rd and 4. They set up the run for him. He couldn't get out there. Yeah, I don't know how Illinois was ranked that high either. It could have been just because they're Big Ten. That could be it, but I don't know. They're definitely going to drop off after this. So his athleticism is not what the other guys are, so he really has to think the game more, which I appreciate that because in the NFL, you're really going to have to think the game. Now, they ran him a couple times and he couldn't get nowhere. Like, he couldn't get nowhere. And I'm like, man, it's going to be – he can move around in the pocket, which is good. But when it comes to his ability to run, it ain't there. This is not a guy that's going to be running RPOs and, threatening the defense and all that stuff. It ain't there. So that's the knock on him is his athleticism. But all in all, another great performance by Fernando Mendoza, him topping the board for the second time. Now, this is from week to week. It's going to change from week to week. But what do y'all think about this board? Let me get it back up here for y'all so y'all can see it. What do y'all think with Fernando Mendoza being on the top? What do y'all think about the order that it's in? Would y'all change anything? Do you think somebody had a better performance on this list that you will move up or that you will move down? Let me know what you think about that. Now, I wish Kyler was here today. Kyler was here yesterday. We had the long talk about LaNorris Sellers. When I'm looking at these guys and I'm saying, okay, not guys who have to come out because they're seniors, but when I'm looking at guys who can come out early on this list, the guys who can come out early, I believe, are LaNorris Sellers, Arch Manning, I think Sam Leavitt. I think everybody else is just, they might be out of eligibility. Fernando Mendoza might have 1 year eligibility too when I looked at his stuff. But the guys who can come out early, I don't want to see him out there early. Arch Manning, most are interchangeable in all the respective tiers, all close. Zedric, I agree with that. That's why I have to go and watch all the film and see how they handle pressure, how they handle third downs, how they can see what's happening with the defense, reading the defense. I got to look at if their offensive coordinator / head coach, depending on who it is allowing them to make changes at the line of scrimmage. Are they allowing them to use motion to try to identify the defense? So it's that extra layer that you got to add to see who's really doing better than the other ones. Because if you just do it based on stats, I think this list would be different. But once you look at it in the context of, your team could have won at the end of the game, were you able to get it done? Once you start adding those different layers, then I think it kind of changes. But yeah, the guys who can leave early, Arch Manning, he needs to go back to college. I believe LaNorris Sellers needs to go back to college. Sam Leavitt, let me check. Let's look at him real quick. I think this is year 3 for him because he was at Michigan State, and then I think this is his second year. Yeah, I think he was at Michigan State. Let's look at his splits. Not that. He was at Michigan State for 1 year, 2 years at Arizona State. So yeah, Sam Leavitt is kind of iffy. If Sam Leavitt falls to the right team, it could be worth him actually coming out this year. But underclassmen, stay for the most part. Stay there. Get that experience. Get those additional starts. Be able to see what defense is doing, and also, if you have a good enough year, you have to come out in the draft because Garrett Nussmeier would have been a high pick last year. He's going to be a high pick this year. Cade Klubnik, his draft stock has to be so low right now. So he went from, let's look at his season stats real quick. He got 4 interceptions on the year. He has 996 yards, 6 TDs, 4 interceptions. QBR of 46, which is 91st in the country. That's bad. That's not a good thing. Now let's look at what he did all of last year. So last year, he threw for 3,600 yards, 36 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He is going to get to 6 interceptions at this rate in 2 games. So it's not good. He should have left last year. He should have left last year. It was what everybody called a weak draft class, which I'm not trying to hear that because this draft class doesn't look better. So he definitely cost himself some money by coming back. And I don't know why he was advised not to come out last year. I don't know why. So, because he had a decent amount of starts. I mean, he's been in college since 2022. 2022, that probably was a redshirt year. I don't know if he played 4 games, but the last 2 years, he played full seasons. So he should be right around that 25 starts. That you get to 25 starts in college in high-level competition, you should be ready to go into the draft. He definitely cost himself some money. So that is this week's top QBs of the week. Now, tomorrow's live stream will be back to NFL. We're going to get into some things with the Browns. Like we mentioned, the Browns offensive line not being able to deal with any of these quarterbacks coming out. DeJuan Jones injured again. Is DeJuan Jones injury prone, or was it a dirty shot that took him out? We're going to be looking at that. We're going to look at how people are talking about the Browns, and then also we're going to get into the matchup with Detroit versus the Cleveland Browns versus Detroit, because they're going to Detroit this Sunday. So that's what we're going to be looking at. I did check out the game last night. Baltimore is hurting themselves. Baltimore might struggle more this year at the rate that they're going. I got some stuff. What sounds are playing in my ear? I don't know what those sounds were. But at the rate that Baltimore is going, they might struggle a little bit more this year. It's early, but we're going to see. Derrick Henry got to get those fumbles under control. And then also, we're really going to see if, Detroit's defense was definitely making some plays. They were making some plays. They made it hard on Lamar and Baltimore. Remember when they went for it on 4th and 1 and they rolled Lamar out? He fumbled, kicked the ball back. They lost 21 yards. Maybe the Browns' best chance to win the division. Not with the offensive play that the Browns have. Yeah, they was putting a lot of pressure on Lamar. If the Browns had average quarterback play, they can muscle their way probably to be in contention for the division, just based on Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers not looking great. So they could, but just with the quarterback situation, this is why putting Joe Flacco out there longer is a detriment to the Browns, because it's up for grabs right now. It's up for grabs. You look at it. Do you fear? You don't fear Baltimore, because the Browns were in the game with Baltimore until they had turnovers and they had special teams issues. They were in that game. Then you have the Pittsburgh Steelers, who nobody fears. They were in a close game against the Patriots, who nobody thinks is good. And then y'all saw, without Joe Burrow, Cincinnati's done. You saw what Brian Flores and that Minnesota Vikings defense was able to do. So, yeah, the Ravens defense has names on it. But you can get them. You can definitely get them. And you can get them running the ball, surprisingly. With the way Detroit ran the ball on them, I was like, oh, man, you could definitely get them. So when the Browns were talking about in the offseason that, they're going for a QB in 2026, and they were punting on this year and not looking at the things that they could take advantage of this year, now you're looking at how things are playing out once the real games are playing, and you're seeing the injuries pile up and all this stuff. You're like, you cannot throw away a year in the NFL. You cannot do it. You can't do it, especially with the way the Browns defense is looking. So my early take is what I want to see. I can't wait to see Detroit's run game versus the Browns rush defense. So that's what I'm excited to see. I'm probably going to watch the all 22. I started watching the all 22, y'all, last night. I got a little bit of it in. The Browns offense. It's even more. Yeah, they need an offensive line. I think they can contain Goff like they did Jordan Love, because Goff is not as athletic. So they don't have to worry about the dual threat ability of Jared Goff. So I definitely think that they could contain him. They need to get offensive line in the draft. Yeah, they should have. Now it's looking way more egregious that they took two quarterbacks, because at pick 94, you should have got whatever was the best offensive lineman on the board, considering you had nobody under contract next year. And then now next year, it would be malpractice for you to give up multiple draft picks for a quarterback and you got no offensive line. So they can't keep playing this game. You gotta upgrade the offensive line. Their team might force them to have to draft the best available players where they have a need. He will attack the slot corners. Miles Harden did better this week. They worked on that communication. With time, he'll definitely attack them, because they put Amon-Ra St. Brown in the slot. So I'm nervous about that, because then you're thinking, do they leave Miles Harden on Amon-Ra St. Brown? Do they put Greg Newsome on him just because they move him around? Also, a thing that I'm nervous about is Dan Campbell is willing to risk it. So y'all see at the end of this game, he wanted to put that game away. They went for it on 4th down, and they actually threw the ball on 4th down, which is crazy. So I'm nervous about how aggressive he'll be, because when you're that aggressive, you put more pressure on the other team. And when you put that pressure on the other team who already can't score a lot of points, man, it speeds up the clock of how they do things. Ward does not travel. It's not because he doesn't want to. And Jim Swartz's defense, Jim Swartz does, you're the number one, this is your side, you're the number two, this is your side, and they usually don't travel. They try to believe in their guys who they have on the back end, so they believe in their slot guys. So it's if the Browns don't have them travel, they don't have corners travel when they play Cincinnati, they definitely not gonna have them travel when they play Detroit. I think they will give Joe 2 more games or 3 if he do bad, which I think he will. I agree. I don't think they should give him more than 2 games. They should give him Detroit, Minnesota. At that point, you got to make a change. Even if it is going into the Steelers. The Steelers aren't the team. They are the Steelers in name, but nobody's afraid of the Steelers defense. You're not afraid of their defense. So I wouldn't be like, oh man, you can play everybody else versus any team, rookies or whatever, undrafted free agents. You can play them, but you can't play a rookie who you drafted in the 3rd round. It don't make sense. So we gonna definitely get into a lot of that tomorrow. Oh, this is what I want to say. I started looking at the all 22. When they ran that flea flicker, Joe Flacco moved off that deep pass so fast. It should be criminal how fast he moved off that deep option. Because on the flea flicker, you always you're looking deep to the check down. And he moved off that thing so fast. Yeah, I agree. They might bully Steelers this year. Run game should be in rhythm too. I agree. And the Steelers aren't a team that you're threatened by that they can put up a lot of points on you. So when you just look at all those different factors, you're looking at the Steelers aren't putting up a bunch of points. The Steelers defense is a lot older. You're not really afraid of it. You're not afraid of that defense. So if you can run the ball and get a rhythm, you can have a rookie in there. So we got to see how they do. I'll tell you one thing. 10 points is not going to cut it against Detroit. I'll tell you that. 10 points, not going to cut it. Not going to cut it at all. Not going to cut it. Also, another thing, when they play Minnesota, they might be going up against Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz has not been the guy who's able to put up all these points on the board. So you can really have a rookie in because it's not going to be that pressure to score 100. So if they're doing these to better quarterbacks and they're having them second guessing, they're going to be able to do that to Carson Wentz too. So it's going to be some questions that's going to need answers in the next couple of weeks. Like I said yesterday, they accepted those poor numbers from Joe Flacco in a win. I don't want to hear the media complaining when he does that in losses because you accept it in a win. So they're like, oh, you can't change because it was a win. Okay. All right. That's cool. Don't switch up. Keep that same energy when he do that and you lose 2 games in a row. So we're going to see what they do. But this was a great show as always. Shout out to y'all for being here. Tuesdays is a really quick show. Just knock out those college QBs. One thing I'm going to be adding in. So it looks like we're on the brink of Jackson Dart starting really soon. Also, it looks like we're on the brink of Tyler Shuck starting really soon. So as the rookies who were drafted before Shador get out there and play, not the Cam Ward, but the Tyler Shuck, the Jackson Dart, beast. The Vikings, they smacked the Bengals. It was turnovers. It was the defenses. It was a lot of stuff. The defensive schemes was crazy. I'm happy with Jim Swartz, but when Brian Flores was out there, I was hoping we would have got Brian Flores as our D coordinator. But Jim Swartz, I can't knock it. He got our guys balling. I just like the fact that Brian Flores confuses quarterbacks. So I really like that. But I'm going to be adding to this when we get these rookie quarterbacks in. It's going to be the college breakdown, and then we're going to be adding in. We're going to layer in the quarterbacks who are drafted before Shador and their performance. So we're going to be adding that into the show. So Tuesdays shows are short for now, about 45 minutes or so. But as these young quarterbacks play, we're going to be adding them in, and we're going to keep adding this thing up. We're going to keep the receipts. So nobody want to be held accountable, but this is what we're going to do. We keeping those CVS level receipts. So they're going to get exposed. the QB that was drafted before Shador, hey, beast. I'm right there with you. I am right there with you. We are also looking at the fact that these college QBs aren't good, and then these NFL QBs who are drafted, they're gonna be exposed. So shout out to you, Zedric. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate the compliment. I definitely put in the work. I'm putting the hours in. I'm watching the tape, man. I'm watching it. Did you see the Dion interview with Kelsey and Jason Kelsey? Yes, I did. That's gonna be on tomorrow's show. So I did watch it. I'm gonna give you a little teaser. When they start talking about Shador, I want y'all to pay attention to something that Coach Prime said. Coach Prime said the NFL is not about development. Did y'all peep when he said that? He said the NFL is not about developing guys. You got to come in developed. They gonna teach you their playbook, but you got to know it already. I was like, ooh, because they keep telling us, oh man, you know we're Shador is a developmental QB, but then how many pros are saying that development is not there? Then I always question. I was like, yeah, I don't mind somebody sitting. Hey, you picking up what I'm putting down, Cedric. You're picking up what I'm putting down. I did. You come ready. Somebody lying. Yeah, because then we got to look at other pros. So you got Coach Prime saying they're not developing. You got other players saying they came into the league, they're not being developed. You got Caleb Williams saying nobody was there to watch film with him. Wouldn't that be development, watching film with him? He was doing it all on his own last year. So if you're a number one overall consensus number one pick, and you're not getting developed, you want me to believe that the Browns is really doing all this extra to develop somebody who they took in the 5th round? Make it make sense. Hey, make it make sense. You know what I'm saying? Hey, 1 + 1 is not 4. 1 + 1 is not 4. So do y'all develop or don't y'all develop? Hey, questions that we need answers to. So, hey, if they develop people, facts, development is a buzzword. I don't know why people telling Deion to be quiet because he defended his son. So development is that buzzword. So you're right about that, Zedric. People are telling Coach Prime to be quiet because Shador went in the 5th round. They're saying you can't defend your son. You can't talk about your son. I called this out months ago. I got old videos where I'm saying he can't talk about his son. I was like, this don't even make sense. How could you tell a dad they can't talk about their son? It doesn't matter how big of their microphone because of, the status that they have. How can you say they can't talk about their son? Who gives these people the right to question you being able to talk about your child? If your son does something bad, what's the first thing they want you to do? They want you to talk about your son. Rampage Jackson's son went out there, flipped out on an old boy at the wrestling match. The first thing they wanted him to do was talk about his son. So I don't see how they get up. Oh, don't say nothing. Cedric Deion not even sharing what he could really be sharing. I agree, because he could be exposing the team that was lying. He could be exposing the team that was lying about Shador having headphones on and all that stuff. He could be exposing the lies that came out there. But this is surface level. What people don't want is what the casual fan does not want. The casual fan does not want to believe that the Tooth Fairy's not real. They don't want to believe that the NFL does shady things. They don't want to believe that allegedly the LA Clippers might make sure Kawhi gets some money on the back end for a job that he never showed up to. They don't want to believe these things. We get countless examples of these things happening in our face. And you have some people who say, man, I see this. They've proven this. Look at the collusion. Look at, they made the excuses while Lamar Jackson couldn't get the guaranteed contract. You think those same people aren't doing shady business dealings? Come on now. I agree. Somebody will expose it though. Maybe not now, but down the line. Hey, I knocked Pablo Torre for him looking into who was at Kobe Bryant's funeral, because I was like, that's a bar, that's a line too far. But when Pablo Torre is looking into how these business dealings are going down, he exposed the collusion in the NFL, and the NFLPA reps had to step down because of Pablo Torre's reporting. That's the type of stuff I want you to do. Expose what they're doing on the back end. Don't worry about who is at a funeral. So people don't want to see how stuff really goes down. When you see how stuff really goes down, it's going to make you question your allegiance to some of these teams, to some of these owners, to some of these networks. You're going to question it. So everybody wants sunshine and rainbows. They don't want the real. But then when the real is getting exposed, you got to change how you view it. And that's what they're afraid of. So I agree. Coach Prime is not out here saying everything he could be saying. He's not really, exposing it like that. He is speaking on his son. He has a right to speak on his son. And if you don't like him speaking on his son, why didn't you go after Caleb Williams' father, who was trying to break the NFLPA agreement? Think about it. Think about this, Beast. No offense, but the NFL been racist. Think about this. If everybody running the NFL is 60, 70 years old, the owners, think about the time that they came up. It's not hard. It's not hard to understand. You just got to think about the times they came up in, and then you put it together with what you see. So, it's just, to me, this stuff is just is right in front of you. But people just want to watch their football game. They just want to root for their team, and they don't want to look into it deeper. It's the same way. Like, look at the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns don't have a good offensive line. They got no answers to offensive line. They had issues at kicker. We're going to see how Andrew Schmidt does going forward. They have issues with their draft picks if you look at what Andrew Berry has done. And people still defend Andrew Berry. Kevin Stefanski is the offensive coordinator, basically, and he's the head coach. And his team can't score more than 13 to 17 points going into last year when he wasn't calling plays. And people want to defend him like he's doing good. So all you got to do is just look at it. It's right there in front of you. People really are defending Kevin Stefanski because the team is 1-2. People are defending Andrew Berry because we got rookies that have played 3 games. People don't really want to go to what the issues really are. So that's just overall everywhere. And people don't want to have they don't want to have those honest conversations. They don't want to have the conversations about what really is happening. So, I see it. I don't always talk about it. You know what I'm saying? I keep it straight to sports, but that doesn't mean I don't see what's happening in front of me. You know what I'm saying? So that was part of me getting into this and just making sure that I'm prepared. So that's why I watch so much film. That's why I got man, if y'all knew the subscriptions I had to do the research I'm doing, I got the ESPN Plus, I have the NFL Plus, I got the NFL League Pass, I got PFF. It's all these subscriptions to make sure that I'm able to be prepared because I saw people wasn't prepared. So it's a lot. I want to be out here with answers to the questions. I don't want to be out here with, just looking lost and confused. Shout out to you, Beast. I appreciate that. I know it's a preseason game, but the only time Browns will score 20 is with Shador. Hey. Hey, I'm with you, Zedric. I'm with you when you're right. And right there, you're right. So I'm with you when you're right. So it's a fact. I appreciate y'all, man. Shout out to y'all. That'll probably be when they score 20 again. I agree. You need a quarterback who's willing to take the downfield shots to even open up the run game even more. So that's how I go. That's how it go. I appreciate y'all. Shout out to y'all for being here. Tomorrow's live stream is either going to start at 10:30 or 11. I'll get that notification up later. But I appreciate y'all. It's been another great show. We're going to keep this thing rolling along. And make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I will catch y'all in the next one. It's been real. Peace.